Hey guys, welcome to Admit 3, where we discuss all things movies, media, and television. I'm Laura.
I'm Kurt.
I'm Rob.
Thanks for tuning in. Welcome back to Admit 3. There were two big releases this week, one of them being Scream 6, which we'll be talking about today, and the other being 65, starring Adam Driver, which you'll hear our thoughts about on later this week. Scream 6 is directed by returning filmmakers Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillett from a script by James Vanderbilt and Guy Busick. The film moves the franchise from Woodsboro to New York City as the survivors of the 2022 requel attempt to move on with their lives after being attacked 1 year ago. This is a Scream movie, however, so it isn't long before a new Ghostface begins slashing its way across the Big Apple, looking to finish what last year's killers started. This will be a spoiler-filled episode, so listeners beware. Kurt, you had mixed feelings on last year's Scream. What did you think about Scream 6?
I did have mixed feelings on Scream last year. I think you guys were a little bit higher on it than I was. But I rather enjoyed Scream 6. I thought it was a pretty big improvement over last year's outing. My problem with last year was that it felt so torn between the original cast and that story and paving the way with this new cast and their storyline. And this one really leaned more into the new characters and their story, and it distanced itself from the rest of the franchise, which is a franchise that I love. It's my favorite horror franchise. Literally wearing
I
a
know,
Ghostface
I was
shirt.
going to comment on that. You wore it just for the pod.
Scream is one of my favorite horror movies, so I love those movies, and those characters are dear to me. But I love that this movie puts the new characters into focus. What did you think, Rob?
I thought it was an okay movie.
Fuck that.
I I know that you didn't like the previous Scream as much. But I kind of liked the last one. I didn't think it was a bad Scream. I didn't really have that many complaints with it. There was some acting qualms that we had, like the main actress. Pardon me, what was her name? Melissa Barrera. She kind of seemed just dead that whole movie.
Monotone.
And I think it was either you or Laura that said that she did a much better job in this new movie. And I gotta say, I don't know what you're talking about. She
Wow.
It was
basically
her.
exactly the same.
It was me. I thought she was so much better in this movie, and I even bought in. I thought she was so good in this movie that there was this theory that she seemed dead through, she was so monotone in the last movie because she hadn't tapped into that psycho part of herself. And she was so good in this movie that I subscribed to that theory. I was like, okay, maybe that's the fucking reason why. I thought she was great here. I thought the entire core four, as they deemed themselves, were great in this movie.
Laura, any opinions?
Anything beyond a 10 click?
I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I don't think I'll ever need to watch it again.
Wow. I did try to get you to watch
I know.
it again.
For the last 2 days, Chris do you want to go see Scream 6? And I'm like, no. I mean, it's fine. I just, for some reason, I don't know if it was the actors who played the villainous family.
Mhm.
I don't know if it was something wrong with them, or I felt like it was really dumb, really corny, really stupid, that this policeman and his two other kids were so upset and are coming after Sam for killing, what the hell is his
Richie.
name? Richie, one of the killers from the Scream 5. It's like your son was a serial killer. What? I don't understand why you'd be like, you killed my boy. Now I'm gonna...
You acted in self-defense.
Right,
How could you?
I'm gonna take my other two kids, turn them into fucking serial killers, and we're gonna go on this rampage.
See, I agree that there was a disconnect, sort of, between Ghostface when the villain is masked in this movie versus Ghostface when it's, you know, revealed who it is. Dermot Mulroney plays the detective, and I like him as Ghostface character. I actually buy the parent angle. So much of this movie is paralleling Scream 2, and one of the, you know, the big killer in Scream 2 is Billy's mother. So I like that the family were the killers. I just thought that the performances
Right, yeah, I think
after
that's
the
what I have
reveal
a
were
problem with.
very hokey, and that's, you know, common in this franchise, especially in Scream 2. I would say those characters are, you know, it's a hokey performance from those guys too, and so maybe that's why it is the way it is, because so much of this movie parallels Scream 2. There are so many Scream 2 Easter eggs and callbacks, but I did think Ghostface as a character was better than the reveals.
I do like certain aspects of the film, like how they're going backwards with like each killer, like the masks.
Yeah.
They'll leave like the mask from the last ghost face, and like they're going in order. And this ghost face mask was really cool in this movie because it was all like
Dirty and cracked.
yeah, it had like more of a
I believe that was supposed to be like the original mask that was being used, and that's why it was so rugged and different from the rest of them. That he was using the original Billy mask.
That's why he wanted her to wear it at the end, because he was like, "This is your legacy. You're a killer."
yeah, but I'm just wondering because when they did end up in that weird museum or whatever, I thought his mask was
shrine.
still there, or was it not?
No, it wasn't on the
Yeah, it
thing.
wasn't.
Oh, okay. It was the knife. The knife was still there.
Yeah, the
Which
knife
I think
was
is really fucking gross. There was still blood on it, and you're gonna, ugh.
Yeah, there's 0% chance that that wouldn't have been cleaned at some point when they brought that into like
I feel
evidence.
like
and
the
stuff.
only like really cool scene that I don't know, I keep thinking about is when the two Ghostface come like side to side and they both wipe their knives in
Yeah,
sync.
That was cool.
after stabbing the shit out of Chad.
I gotta say,
How is he alive?
it's like there's a bunch of characters in the Scream franchise that get fucked up a bunch of them. They're still alive somehow, but
Yeah.
this one was just like this guy was getting fucking carved like a Christmas turkey, and he's still somehow
It's-
fine.
But not even he was fucked up in the last film.
Yeah.
And now he was getting stabbed multiple times in this one. He had
But
blood
it's
literally coming out of his
It's
mouth.
very much like Dewey. In the first movie, Dewey was attacked and left for dead, and then he was still alive at the end on a stretcher. And in Scream 2,
I feel
Dewey
like
gets attacked again. He gets, you know, stabbed in the back in the place where it's already severed, and you see blood shoot out of his mouth against the window when he's dying.
but I
But he, you know, he's
he
still
was
alive and
stabbed
would
only
on a
once
stretcher.
in the first movie, in the back, right?
I believe
Chad
yeah, he
was
stabbed in
stabbed
the back.
several fucking times. There would be no shot, I feel like. How, I don't know. By the grace of fucking God,
Maybe
I
he
guess.
got it in the scar tissue, like Dewey
Yeah,
got
but-
it, and it allowed him to.
Disgusting.
The core four clearly had plot armor in this. Like, there were many times where I think all of the core four got stabbed at some point,
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right.
but obviously none of them
died.
was fatal.
So you know they're gonna die in the next film. They can't keep
I don't
them
know
around
that.
this whole time.
They might. It's the core four.
Now, before even going into this movie, I said that the twins were going to be the killers for this movie just because that was, you know, just from 5,000 feet, just spitballing. But-
And you were wrong.
Yes, I was wrong. But once I got into the movie and started watching, my first, like, suspect that I was like, this is definitely the killer was the roommate. I think her name is Quinn.
Quinn, yeah.
I was like, all right, yeah, this chick is definitely the killer. And then when she said, she talked about her brother passing away, and I was like, all right, that's going to be Richie from the last movie, 100%. As soon as she said that, I was like, that's Richie, for sure. And then there was a scene where she talked about her dad being a cop, and then the cop, when he was talking to the main character,
Sam.
he was saying, like, you fuck with my family, you die. And obviously, that's...
Yeah.
You know, I was just like, okay, so obviously these two are working together. The third guy, like the nerdy, like
Yeah,
weird
Chad's
looking guy,
roommate, yeah.
not weird looking, just a weird guy. I guess. He looks totally normal.
Curly
But,
headed fuck.
I leaned over to Laura during the movie, and I was like, "This guy has got to be one of the killers." He was
See-
cucking around the movie, being way too nice to every person. And I was like, "This guy is definitely the killer."
The only reason I didn't think that he was one was because I already knew the other two people were 100% killers. And I was like, they're not going to have 3 ghost faces, but
Do you know what's funny? I did not at all see it coming.
really?
I didn't think Quinn would have been one because she seemed too fucking dumb.
And seemed, dead.
Yeah,
No,
that's true.
I knew. I was like, the cop father obviously, like, covered this up and, like, made it work in his favor.
Yeah,
As soon
I
as
did
she
have to
said
say,
that my
as
brother
he,
died, I was like,
stumbled
that
out.
was Richie.
I didn't make the connection. I don't know, maybe because I didn't like the last movie.
I didn't like the last movie.
Like I said, no, not gonna bash on a new one, but
Maybe bash on it.
No, I don't want to do that. It just wasn't that exciting for me.
I really liked the opening scene in the last movie with Jenna Ortega in the house and like
Yeah, it was a callback to
Yeah,
the first Scream.
very
Yeah.
much so, and I thought that was very cool, and the way they did it was good.
I thought the opening in the last movie was great also. I really liked the opening in this movie too. This was a much different sort of opening than
Yeah.
the Scream movies have had. We have, the professor, Laura Crane, I think is her name, played by Samara Weaving, who's in Ready or Not, which was directed by the same guys. She's attacked and killed by Ghostface. And then we see Ghostface get undressed, and he
It's
walks
just a
home.
fucking schmuck.
Yeah, rich guy, and him and his friend are, planning on becoming the new Ghostfaces and getting in with Sam and Tara and killing them. But then he gets a call from the actual Ghostface of the movie, and he gets killed. So there are 2 opening kills, both by different Ghostfaces with different motives, and I thought that was very cool and clever.
I do have to say, her being a professor about like horror or
Yeah.
whatever. Why the fuck would you go into an alley, a dark alley?
He even said that on the phone
Yeah,
call.
Yeah.
he was like, basically, you're a fucking dumb bitch,
Mm.
and then just slices it. I just don't understand. Like, what was the point of her dying? Like, how is she connected to?
I think he said he
Everything.
just wanted to like
Yeah, like wet his toes a little bit. Like he
Yeah.
was just trying to
Like
get
a
used to it.
practice run.
Like a practice run, and she is, she's a professor, and like she, teaches like horror movies and things like that, and so she talks a lot about slashers, and he was in her class about slashers, so in a way it makes sense that she would be the first victim. Somebody's got to get the ball rolling, I guess.
I guess so.
But yeah, I thought it was a really cool opening, and I thought the New York City setting was very cool. I don't think it utilized it quite as much as it could have, but the times that it does really worked for me. There's, the scene on the subway that's in the trailer.
Yeah.
I think that's a very cool scene. There's one of my favorite scenes of the movie is a tent scene where they're trying to escape from their apartment to Sam's boyfriend's apartment across
The
the
ladder.
alley, and they got the ladder going across, and they're trying to crawl over the little alleyway. And I thought that was so cool and so suspenseful. And
We all
those
knew
are
she
set
was gonna
pieces we
die.
didn't. Oh, the girl, Mindy's girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she seemed like a cool character though, and we didn't get much of her. But I guess they had to kill somebody this movie if they
I
weren't
was
going to kill
although
if they
I
were going to
don't
kill the
thi-
core
even
four.
if she survived walking crawling across the ladder,
Mm.
I don't think she would have survived by her injuries that she had sustained
Yeah,
prior.
that's true.
So maybe it was just a better way for her
Mm-hmm.
to go out.
Yeah, she seemed like the type of character that was introduced like just to be killed off. Like sometimes you could just tell in a movie you're like, this character is basically just
Yeah.
a target.
My least favorite part of the movie was actually sort of my least favorite part of the last movie, that the returning characters from the original series felt very shoehorned in. They feel like they didn't quite belong in the movie. Like the movie moved better when they weren't in it. I get the fan service of having Hayden Panettiere return as Kirby. She's fantastic in Scream 4, and she's good here too, but her storyline didn't feel important to this movie to me. And I'm always happy to see Courtney Cox return as Gale, but she also maybe didn't even have to be in this movie. And she hasn't had a phone call with Ghostface until this movie, which is pretty cool that she finally got that. And she had a cool, chase sequence where she's running around her apartment trying to survive. But her surviving, I kind of feel like could be the end of it, and it was a great way to have Sydney involved in a little way, where she's like, tell Sydney that I lived, I didn't, I didn't let him kill me. And I think that's
Which doesn't make sense, because immediately if I got a phone call saying, like, he didn't get me, I'd be like, well, she's fucking dead. You know what I mean? Like, you don't just say that out of nowhere.
I just thought it was a cool way to mention Sydney, and maybe that's a fitting send-off for Gail now also.
She deserves her happy ending, so does Gail. Bye. And I hope...
Happy ending, her boyfriend was murked right in front of her.
She didn't even give a shit about her boyfriend.
That did seem true.
Not even what... She's like, oh yeah, how unfortunate. Like, I don't even think she shed a tear.
He's no Dewey.
Yeah, I do have to say I didn't even like that aspect. I wish she was just alone the whole time. How are you gonna do Dewey like that? First of all, it really pissed me off that they killed Dewey in the last film.
I thought it was cool.
I hated that Dewey died in a Scream movie that I thought was weaker than the other Scream movies. Especially when he had gone through so much to survive so far. But I did love Dewey in that movie. Excuse me. I think if there were any returning characters that should have been in the last movie, I think what they did with Dewey is the one that worked. So I was glad. There's a scene in this when Gail is talking about how you continue living after the person you love more than anybody is passed on. And during that scene, it's playing like Dewey's little theme music in the background. And I thought that was a really nice tribute to Dewey's character.
Did you cry?
I did not cry. No, I did not cry. Not like I did Creed 3 last week.
Yeah, that was rough. I do like the aspect that that they used more like weapons in this one. Like, who would have thought you would see Ghostface with a fucking shotgun? I don't know. But the whole like shrine part of it was cool. As you're like walking, you can see all the kills with like each thing that was part of it.
Yeah.
One, how did you not know that your son was going to be a serial killer? It's like
It's clearly. Let me say, if you got a shrine like that, and people in your family know, you got to report that shit to authorities or
not only
something.
did they know, what's his fucking name? The cop, Detective Wayne Bailey. He said he helped him acquire these things because a lot of them were evidence. You're all just fucking weird. You're all.
Well, they're all serial killers.
I know. But I'm saying, like, I guess the apple doesn't fall far. That's crazy. I don't know if I would go out of my way to, like, risk my job to steal some evidence because my son had, like, a weird obsession with murder. Would you? I don't know. I'd be like, you are going in some kind of institution, I think. Well, I guess when you're both crazy.
I want to give a shout out to the guy who plays Danny, Sam's new boyfriend in this movie, Josh Segarra. I thought he was really good. The movie maybe didn't utilize him quite as much as he could have been, but he reminded me of Sydney's boyfriend Derek from Scream 2, who he's like a nice guy who seems to have the main character's best interest at heart, but you don't quite trust him the whole time. And in Scream 2, Derek ends up being trustworthy, and then he dies. He gets, shot by Timothy Oliphant's character. In this one, since it was paralleling Scream 2 so much, I kept expecting this guy to die too, but he didn't. He survived, and I was happy to see that because I thought he was,
So
a solid new character.
Consider this movie like a Scream 2 remake?
It's a requel.
It sounds like something Scooby-Doo would say.
I think, what was her name? Mindy? I think in her, when she's doing the spiel, she did the same thing in the last movie where she, like, you can't just have a sequel anymore. You gotta like pay homage to all the previous characters, and she had this whole spiel. And she did the same thing in this movie. Yeah, now it's a franchise, and anybody can go. Anybody's which obviously was bullshit since none of the fucking core four got even like slightly. I guess one of them did get stabbed 50 times, but he was a-okay, I guess.
I do think it's funny how she went on that whole spiel. It was just like, oh, now it's a franchise, blah, blah, blah. And then on the phone call, was it the phone call or was it in person? Where it's just like, the main characters die now because it's a franchise or whatever. Some fucking dumb shit.
At first I was a little like, they didn't have the guts to, kill off one of the main four characters. But now that I've, had time to sit with it and think about all of the connections with Scream 2, there are ways that it, pays tribute to Scream 2, but there are also ways that it flips Scream 2 on its head a little bit, like I've just mentioned with Derek dying in Scream 2, but this boyfriend not dying.
Because he's going to be Ghostface in the next one.
But in Scream 2, the core four of Scream 2 is, Sydney, Dewey, Gail, and Randy. And Scream 2, Randy gets killed off. So this one, you have a core four. Again, you're thinking maybe one of them's going to die, but this time they don't. So it flips it on its head a little bit. So,
how many
of
more
course,
films do you think there's going to be?
I would say one
I hope it's
more.
one more and done.
But I think this movie opening weekend made more opening weekend than any other Scream movie. So the property is very much alive right now. So even if it's the last one in this, current iteration of Scream, I doubt it's going to be the last Scream movie. And it shouldn't be. This franchise, I think, is more consistent than any other horror franchise. Like, consistent in quality, I would say. I don't think there's a bad Scream movie. There are Scream movies that I maybe don't like as much as the others. Like, Scream 5 and Scream 4 I don't think is as good as the first three. But I still like those movies, even if there are a couple that I don't love. I think it's very consistent in that regard. So I hope they continue making them.
I feel like too many things just like go on longer than they should, and they just end up ruining it for me.
It sounds like it's already ruined for you.
Yeah, because they should have never came back.
You're saying Scream 5 should have never been made, or Scream 6? Or both?
Either of them.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh, you gave like Scream 5 a 3.5 stars last time.
I don't think I even gave it a 3.5.
You
Maybe a 3.
did give it a 3.5. Because you were higher on it than me, and I gave it a 3.
I don't think so. I don't really think I gave anything higher than a 2.5 last year. I don't actually remember, my memory shot, but I mean, they're fine. They're fine, but did they need to be made? No.
I do have a question for you guys.
All right.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Not this one.
You sounded like the professor in this movie, where they're like, "What's you like slasher movies?" And he like everything. What's your favorite scary movie? And she's like, "Not that one." It was. You don't have to answer. It was. I just wanted to do Ghostface.
Well, what is your favorite?
Your favorite is
mine.
We touched on this in our last iteration of the podcast, right? Didn't you say yours was 13 Ghosts?
Which is a fucking lie.
Did I?
That's just not true.
Did I say it was my favorite scary movie?
Yeah,
you did. In fact, I know you did because for Christmas, I almost got you 13 Ghosts on Blu-ray and you The Thing on Blu-ray because those were your two favorite horror movies, and I wanted to celebrate the podcast.
Weird. I mean, it does freak me out, so maybe that's why I said it.
I think you were just put on the spot, and you were just like, scary movie, 13 Ghosts.
That's a scary movie.
A scary movie that I'm looking forward to seeing is Evil Dead Rise.
I'm looking forward to that too.
I can't wait to watch it. Rob, didn't you say you've never seen an Evil Dead movie?
No, not one.
I feel like Evil Dead is more of it's like a gore factor though. Towards the end.
There's so much gore in all of the Evil Dead movies, but
I've seen the second one.
It's Well, have you seen? Are you talking about the original Evil Dead, or are you talking
Probably
about the
the remake.
2013?
Yeah.
This is the sequel to
Oh.
the new one.
Okay.
But the original series, they're all very campy and very gory, and it's like kind of played as a joke. Like it's so over the top with gore. So I think you guys, the tone of the trailer, like it looks ridiculous and funny and over the top. That's exactly what it's going for. So I think you guys are going to enjoy it.
You think it looks funny?
Absolutely.
Oh, it looks horrifying. I won't ever sleep after watching that.
I'm with Kurt. I think it looks pretty funny. But going back to Scream 6, because we went a little bit off topic there for a little while. My least favorite part of the movie, I'll start with least favorite, then I'll go to favorite, is probably after the killer reveal, where like it shows the cop and the daughter and the son, and like just, it wasn't the acting. The acting wasn't bad. I think the writing, and maybe like Kurt said, it was just intentionally trying to be over the top and goofy, but it just did not land for me. My favorite part was when Sam and Tara kind of like had a dynamic duo type deal where they're just like killing off the ghost faces, and then Sam puts on the mask and she's just like creeping around and freaking the guy out, the cop guy, and finally she walks up to him and starts stabbing him, and she like just goes apeshit and starts stabbing the crap out of him, and she takes off the mask, and like this was the most emotion I've seen on her face the entire two movies. She like had like a smile on her face, and you could tell she was enjoying it. And they had that whole scene right at the end where like she's holding the mask, and it looks like she might put it away in her bag, and that's obviously, you might be like, oh, is she gonna be the next killer or whatever? But then it shows she dropped it on the ground, which obviously is symbolizing that she's leaving it in the past or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Just trying to anyway.
Yeah.
I did really like that, and I think that's an interesting dynamic. Each movie she's, progressed further into being more like her father Billy, which that
Did you-
fucking
I was gonna-
CGI Billy.
I was gonna say, did
Just
you like
leave
that
it alone.
cameo?
Just leave it alone. Leave it. I hate
so
it. The
bad.
CGI is so bad.
So
I
bad.
like the idea, but that CGI is awful, and it's so distracting, and I wish they would stop doing
You
it.
just look so fucking old.
They just did the reflection this time because they're like, maybe if it's a reflection,
Yeah,
it'll look
didn't.
better.
It didn't
Don't do it all.
land.
Just fucking play his voice in
Voice,
her head.
yeah.
Leave it alone. But I like the idea of her, getting more and more demented and potentially being a ghost face. I even thought, even though Billy isn't Tara's father, she seemed to really, enjoy stabbing that guy in
Yeah.
the face. And she had like
Yeah.
a demented look in her eye
I
also.
also-
And maybe that's just Jenna Ortega.
I have to say, in the preview, when they show her like their bloody hands, like she's about to slip and fall, when she has that like smirk on her face, I'm like, oh shit, is she one of the killers? Like, did she like turn on her sister? But then it was just like some like sappy, let me go.
Speaking of, before like the big killer reveal, who was your guys' number one suspect? Because I already told you.
My number one suspect while watching the movie
While watching the movie, yeah.
was the cookie boy.
Why do you call him the cookie boy?
He was like, "Oh, you need a paper towel." Like every woman, like trying to be nice to every girl in the movie.
Maybe he
cuck.
just wanted some. Jeez.
That's what a cuck is.
That's not what a cuck is, actually.
Do you know what?
Anyways, moving on from
Yeah,
cucky boy.
I thought he was my biggest suspect while watching the movie, but I actually told Sherry before watching the movie that I thought maybe since the first the Scream requel leaned so hard into trying to be like Scream 1 that I thought this one would try to be like Scream 2, and it did. But
You're still having a cucky boy.
I thought maybe a parent would be involved in some way. I didn't know that he was, going to be the parent, but I had my suspicions before watching the movie that it would be something in that vein. Like I said, while watching the movie, though, I had a completely different thought process on it.
I thought it was gonna be Kirby.
Really? What?
I remember telling you this before we watched the movie, and you were
He
like,
probably had the same
no,
fucking
no,
reaction.
exactly. He was like, "There's absolutely no fucking shot."
No. Okay, that was before you saw the movie and anything that was going on in it. During the movie, like throughout the whole experience, was it Cucky Boy that you were thinking? was the killer.
No, to be honest, I thought it was the boyfriend
Okay.
because, like,
Generic.
she said, you never trust anybody,
Yeah.
and he's fucking no. The reason I never suspected Quinn was that they said it was an anonymous post online. So how the hell would she have figured that out, that it was them posting it?
I don't know. Plot hole, I guess.
Yeah, what
Maybe
the
they
fuck?
even said how it happened, like in the movie.
Yeah, I don't remember.
During
I
that
know they
final
brought it
reveal.
up, and like, oh, it's an anonymous ad. There is no way. Exactly, like I don't know how that aligned, and
So you guys didn't assume that it was Quinn and the cop
no.
as Ghostface. Neither one of you.
Not while
'Cause-
watching. I did not.
Because literally that scene.
No, she got her. Looks like she got her throat slit. What? Why am I gonna think it's some bitch that's dead?
Before that even happened, the scene where Quinn
No, I thought
and
she was just some.
when Quinn and Tara are sitting down on the bed and they're talking about Quinn's brother. She said he died in a car crash or whatever, but she was talking about a dead brother. And literally, as soon as she said her dead brother, I was like, "There's no reason to bring that up unless it's somebody who
Yeah,
died
that's
in
the
one of the other
movie.
movies, which is obviously Richie from the last
I
one."
remember having a thought about that, but here's what happened during Scream 6 for me. Before I watched the movie, I had 2 large coconut margaritas, a pint of beer, and a shot of tequila.
And he was
So
obviously-
I was buzzed for sure during the movie, and then about halfway during the movie, I would say an hour or so into the movie, for some fucking reason, they really turned the fucking heat up in that theater, and I got so warm and toasty that I spent 15 minutes just nodding off and trying my
Which is weird
best
because
to
I
stay
don't
awake.
feel like it was hot in there.
I
Neither
got
did I.
so
You
hot.
did?
I said neither do I.
Oh.
Menopause. I was struggling to stay awake, and so I feel like maybe I just forgot everything that I was trying to retain before that happened. But I do remember that scene. Now that you talk about it, I'm remembering thinking, wow, that had to be significant in some way. Just didn't piece it together.
So Laura's saying she hated these past 2 movies. You know,
I didn't hate them, but I just
you
feel like
basically said you fucking wish they were never made. I don't know how you
You
couldn't
did.
hate
You,
them.
those were your exact words. I wish they would have never been made. So I'm assuming you're gonna give it a low rating, Laura.
I'd probably say 3.
That's higher than I thought.
That indicates a perfectly fine movie. And you
I
just said
said
you
it was
wish,
perfectly fine.
but you just said you didn't. You wish it didn't exist. Why
I-
don't you want a fine movie to exist?
I said I don't think they needed to be made. I didn't say that it was a terrible
You
film.
need that moolah. Do you think this was better than Scream 5?
Yes.
Scream
Okay.
4.
I don't remember Scream 2, 3, or 4, so.
All right, so we got a 3 from Laura. Kurt?
I think it's a solid 3.5 for me. There were a couple things I didn't like about the movie, but there were some things I really did like about the movie too. I really love the core 4 now. I can't wait to see them in the next movie. I think this one will even get better for me on my second watch. Like I said, I had that 15-minute lull where I was trying to stay awake.
The core 4 is going to be core 2 next
Yeah,
movie.
we'll see.
'Cause the twins are dead.
You think they'll come both in the same movie?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, Sam and
One
Tara.
can't live without the other.
Sam and Tara are gonna turn into like the tag.
But yeah, I like it. I can't wait to see the next one. I think it'll improve each time I watch it. Rob?
I'm gonna give this. I kind of bounced around between 3 and 3.5, but I'm gonna give this one a 3.
0.5.
A 3. It's it's not a bad movie. It's not the greatest movie. I do think that the last movie, Scream 5, was better, in my opinion.
What?
In my opinion.
I've seen a lot of people online, people who loved Scream 5 didn't like this one as much, and people who didn't like Scream 5 as much liked this one more.
I wouldn't
It's so
say
fascinating to me.
I wouldn't say it's like a drastic, like there's not like a wide margin between the two and how much I like them. Like it's very close.
I think I tried to rewatch Scream 5 not too long ago, like in prep for Scream 6, and I couldn't even get through.
No, you didn't get through because Sherry came home from work
Yeah.
and she hates scary
Yeah,
movies,
but I
so we had to
didn't
turn it
feel
off.
the need that I had to go back and watch it. That's what I'm saying.
I guess that's I kind of I'm kind of
like Scream
opposite from
5?
you. I think you gave Scream 5 a 3.5 last year. I'm just trying to
about right.
remember. And I gave it a 3, and so this time I gave this a 3.5 and the last one a 3. So we kind of flip flopped on our opinions there.
I
And
don't
Laura doesn't
fucking know
remember
what I
watching
did.
it.
All right, well, that's that.
There you have it. Scream 6.
We're gonna be doing, because we also are doing 65. When are we gonna release that? Do you guys want to do Thursday, Friday?
We could shoot for a Thursday or Friday. I'm fine with that.
All right.
I'm excited to talk about it. I don't want to give too much away, but I did see it twice over the weekend. I'm just very excited to give my thoughts on it.
And The Last of Us season.
The Last of The
finale.
Last of Us. It's gonna be the last of me because I'm gonna be brokenhearted after this.
I can't believe it's the last episode already. I feel like it's.
I know.
It has gone by so fast.
Yeah.
And I feel like, wow, it's been like 9 weeks and I still haven't got my life together.
Also, we're gonna have like a series, not a series, but a season recap of Poker Face, and I think we're gonna do that for Wednesday.
I think we're aiming for Wednesday.
It
We're
will be guest starring Sherry.
yeah, Sherry's back after
No.
Ant-Man. She's back
I
again.
will not be here because I have not finished the series.
And she's probably not going to.
I'm excited. We're going to be ranking our episodes. That's what Sherry wants to do. Listing
Yeah.
them from 10 to 1. So I'm excited. Can't wait to talk about it. Can't wait to have Sherry back.
Alrighty, thanks for tuning in.
Catch you next time.
See you later.
Surprise, Sydney. Hey guys, be sure to follow us on social media. We are at Admit3Pod on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram.